Our topic is on email encryption. Some of the things we'll be talking about include what email encryption is, transport level and end-to-end encryption, three end-to-end protocols, PGP, SMIME, and bitmessage, and also analyzing and discussing these three protocols. Firstly, what is email encryption? Email encryption allows the contents of an email message to be protected and hidden from anyone but the intended recipients. Without it, messages are prone to interception and alteration by malicious parties. Encryption can occur on two different levels. At the transport level, known as transport level encryption, and at the endpoints, known as end-to-end encryption. Transport level encryption is concerned with the security of emails while in transit. Both implicit TLS and start TLS can be used, under the circumstance that both parties must be able to support the protocol. Transport level encryption is seemingly ubiquitous, with most major email providers already adopting TLS. The focus of new efforts is in the security of implementations. For this reason, the focus of this project is on the area of end-to-end encryption instead. End-to-end encryption provides security for emails from start to finish. Encryption occurs on the sender's device and decryption occurs once the email reaches the receiver. Most notably, an end-to-end encrypted email isn't readable by intermediate parties. Emails can be encrypted to give secrecy, but also signed to provide validation via use of digital signatures and certificates. The biggest challenge facing end-to-end encryption is usability. Much research has been done into issues preventing the widespread uptake of end-to-end encryption. Developed in 1991, PGP is software which supports the signing and encryption of digital media. OpenPGP is a non-proprietary open standard of PGP. A popular implementation of the OpenPGP standard is GPG. To use PGP for encryption, a user must first generate a public-private key pair, which can be generated using the command line and various web tools. PGP inline and PGP MIME are schemes that specifies how OpenPGP can be used in the signing and encryption of email. Both PGP MIME and PGP inline supports clear signing, which we define to be the capability of an end-to-end protocol to sign emails and provide authentication while still allowing non-supported clients to read the message. Here, we show the encrypted representations of an example message with one attachment. PGP inline is shown on the left, and PGP MIME is shown on the right. The OpenPGP encryption and decryption steps can be seen in this diagram. To send an encrypted message, the message is encrypted using a random one-use session key and is sent along with the encrypted session key, which is encrypted using the recipient's public key to the recipient. The recipient decrypts the encrypted message by first decrypting the session key using their private key before using the session key to decrypt the message. To provide authentication of the sender, a digital signature is used, and this can be generated by signing the hash code of the plain text message. A web of trust model is used to bind a public key to its owner, and hence ensures the authenticity of the public key. This model relies on the idea of a decentralized trust network, where verifying someone's authenticity indirectly suggests that you trust the identities that have been authenticated by them. The SMIME protocol supports the signing and encryption of MIME entities. SMIME builds on top of MIME, a collection of standards that extends the prior message representation protocols for email. An example is the support for non-textual attachments. SMIME uses X509 certificates to store and validate the public keys used for providing security services. This means that the sender and each recipient must first obtain an X509 certificate signed by a trusted certificate authority to use security services. This diagram shows key structures which are created in the SMIME encryption process. As the process is similar to what has been described to OpenPGP, we do not elaborate on it further. SMIME relies on cryptographic message syntax, or CMS, to perform the actual encryption, signing, and encapsulation process. Like PGP, a digital signature is created by the sender to ensure sender authentication and non-repudiation. The underlying process is similar to OpenPGP signing and verification, albeit with the addition that the receiver must also validate the X509 certificate of the signer up to a trusted CA certificate when verifying the signature. On this slide, we present an example message encrypted and the same message clearly signed using SMIME. bitmessage is a decentralized, trustless, peer-to-peer communications protocol that allows a user to send encrypted messages to other users and provides strong anonymity. The scheme used for encryption is called Elliptic Curve Integrated Encryption Scheme. An elliptic curve digital signature algorithm is used for message signing. Two key pairs are generated, one for signing and the other for encryption. a user is associated with a bit message address, which is a hash of the user's public keys. Again, both symmetric and asymmetric cryptography is used. The diagram shows how key E and key M can be generated for both encryption and decryption. This diagram shows how key E and key M is used to encrypt a message. Note that the message is signed by the private signing key of the sender before it's encrypted. Once the message is encrypted, it is sent to every user on their network. Every user will try and decrypt every message they receive. If decryption is successful, then they know that the message was for them. A MAC is used to ensure message integrity but does not ensure sender authentication. A digital signature is used to ensure sender authentication and non-repudiation. Therefore, to ensure message authentication, both the MAC and the digital signature is used. Now we will analyze the three protocols based on their authentication processes and usability. First, the authentication process. PGP uses the Web of Trust as a kind of social network to place the role of authentication directly in its users' hands, without relying on any third party. It is, however, not without weaknesses, one being the difficulty of certifying a new key and the willingness of users to do it. S/MIME achieves authentication by way of X509 certificates. It requires users to invoke the services of a well-known and reliable certificate authority, which can be complex and costly, but afterwards there are a few barriers for verifying signed email, given certificates signed by a well-known CA. Authentication is inherent in the design of BitMessage, in that the address of a user is a hash of their public keys, which eliminates the need for key signing or certification. This also ensures that the sender of a message cannot be falsified. However, it does not provide any assurances about the identity of the owner of the BitMessage address in real life. Both S/MIME and PGP have the ability to provide clear signing, which provides the authentication of a message, while still allowing non-supported clients to view it. It is useful if a user is only concerned about who they are communicating with, rather than privacy itself. Studies have found barriers for participants in using PGP to be the need for a way for users to understand public key cryptography and key management, an unfamiliar user interface, and instructions for non-users who are the recipients of encrypted PGP emails. It is also stated that one of the key usability barriers for S/MIME is the hurdle of obtaining a certificate from a reputable CA. In BitMessage, without CA or signatures involved, one must make these judgments about the authenticity of entities elsewhere, whether that's in the physical world or through some other means. It also means a user's address is a garbled form of letters and numbers, as it is a hash of their public keys. PGP is currently heavily reliant on a third party to enable encryption for both webmail and email clients, putting up one more barrier for users to adopt the protocol. There are PGP fully integrated in providers such as ProtonMail, but users must create an email address through the service to get the most streamlined approach. Support for S/MIME, on the other hand, is inbuilt in many popular email clients. A key feature of BitMessage, though, is that it doesn't rely on any third party whatsoever. This means that both parties need to use BitMessage to communicate. We will now move on to the discussion. While PGP and S/MIME build on top of the current email infrastructure, BitMessage has no reliance on other pre-existing protocols, and because of this, it is not accounted for widespread adoption of end-to-end encryption. Its use is more suited to high-risk conversations where the identity of someone can be obtained offline. Presently, both PGP and S/MIME are failing to attract users in large numbers because they are both still plagued by usability issues. In particular, mail client support, key generation and storage, and the retrieval of public keys pose big challenges. We present several suggestions and reiterate some pre-existing recommendations. For widespread adoption of end-to-end encryption to be achieved, it should be easy for mail clients and providers to obtain public keys from trusted sources in a scalable method. Perhaps wider deployment and support of RFC 8162 for S/MIME and key service for PGP can be achieved. More email providers and clients must begin to integrate either PGP or S/MIME encryption natively. They can start by supporting the verification of clear signed email. This is of little risk to senders, as mail clients which don't support the protocol will still be able to display the mail. Additionally, hosted end-to-end encryption services could be a step forward, where the provider manages and stores private keys to sign and encrypt emails on the user's behalf. While hosting the process does mean the scheme is not truly end-to-end, it could break down the notion that end-to-end encryption is time-consuming and complex. User-friendly key generation and storage facilities could also help in achieving increasing adoption of user-managed end-to-end encryption. For S/MIME, a free automated CA could be used to issue certificates. An automated upload and publishing process for generated public keys or certificates can be also defined. Finally, When permitted by the user, the synchronization of private keys between devices can be achieved through a service or protocol, which is similar in concept to existing password managers. In summary, we have talked about email encryption and the two main types, transport level and end-to-end encryption. We also elaborated on the three different end-to-end protocols, followed by analysis of the three and put forward possible steps to widespread adoption of end-to-end encryption. Thank you for listening.